365 Radio. This is Paul Catalina's Top 5 at 5:55, presented by Champion Salon and Barber. To book your appointment, go to championsalonandbarber.com.
Let me first off say, there's 5 minutes left in the game and weird things can happen, but probably congratulations to China Spring, who's about to win their first state title since 1978. Mark Bell's was there forever. His son Brian is the coach now. Mark never got to win one of these as a head coach, but he is equally as happy just because his son is there doing it. So,
how about the fact his other son won a Big 12 championship as quarterback's coach?
Yeah.
So in the span of 2 weeks, Mark Bell's going to see son Sean win a Big 12 title as a top offensive assistant and a young up-and-coming coach in college football, and then see his other son Brian winning.
There's Sean's there.
Yeah, there's Sean. Yep, there's Sean Bell of the Baylor staff and Mark Bell, the father, and there's Brian on the sidelines about to win a state title. So I used to do a little when we were at the radio station. Did a coaching segment with Brian, and they were okay. They weren't like they were, he was just there, and he was building it up, and he had Major Bowden as a youngster, and all these other guys as youngsters, and now they're seniors, and they're about to win a state title. So, big time congratulations to Brian Bell and the Bell family and the China Spring community as well. That's a big deal.
Yeah, that's it's awesome. Then after Lorena yesterday and Franklin and in Stephenville, Central Texas and the areas-ish are doing really well. Anyway, top 5 Urban Meyer replacements. We've done so much college football stuff over and over and again. I thought I would throw an NFL one out there, especially since Urban Meyer is such a hot-button topic. But top 5 Urban Meyer replacements since he has been let go from the Jaguars. Number 5, Bills offensive coordinator Brian Daboll. This is a guy whose offense has been up and up and up. You've got Trevor Lawrence, who a very similar skill set to Josh Allen. Maybe not quite as good of a runner as Josh Allen is, but Brian Daboll with him and James Robinson and Travis Etienne coming next year. Some of the wide receivers that haven't really flourished yet in the current system that they have. I think that might not be a bad go for the Jaguars.
I won't pretend to know a whole lot about him, but I do know what I watch with Josh Allen on a weekly basis. Now, granted, that's Josh Allen, and he's a special type of talent, but so's Trevor Lawrence. So if Brian Daboll can, somehow transfer the Bills' success offensively to the Jaguars, there's a lot that's going to have to change. The problem with the Jaguars, they don't have a transfer portal. That's what they really need, is they need a transfer portal to turn this thing around. But, with the success that Buffalo's had, Trevor Lawrence, I feel so bad for him. I thought that he would probably have a little bit of a hard time just initially, because a lot of guys do. But, obviously put in just such an awful situation. So, yeah, that would make sense.
Yeah. Number 4, also on the Bills staff, Leslie Frazier, the defensive coordinator. This is a guy who should be a head coach again. He was for a little while and wasn't the best situation, so he's not. But I think he's ready to be a head coach again. If the Jaguars want somebody who is going to run their organization well, I think it's Leslie Frazier. I think he'll do a great job. But obviously not an offensive-minded head coach, and the rest of the guys in these lists are offensive-minded guys. He's a defensive-minded guy. But, again, I think if you're Shad Khan, you're looking for the best leader of your team, and I think Leslie Frazier could certainly fill that role.
Well, I think he's going to be a head coach, but I think it's going to be the Chicago Bears.
Yeah.
And defensively, or being a defensive-minded guy, that does fit Chicago.
Yeah.
That does fit the Bears. So, yeah, there's been some smoke in regards to Frazier in Chicago, but obviously a guy who's wanted by at least one team, and you would think that the Jags would at least kick the tires on him and see as well. It just really depends on what direction they want to go. Do you want offense or do you want defense? What's more important? I would tend to think they probably lean more towards offense. But, if you want to go the defensive route, somebody's going to probably hire Leslie Frazier. So, yeah, at least take a look.
Number 3, Cowboys offensive coordinator Kellen Moore. His offense, when it's coming, is going well. And, look, the Cowboys slump these last few weeks might keep Kellen Moore in Dallas for one more year. I don't think that's necessarily on him. I think it's kind of more on the execution than the play calling right now. But Kellen Moore is going to be a hot name. And, look, you've got a young quarterback, and you want a diverse offense that does a lot of different things. Why not Kellen Moore? It's the one he runs.
Yeah, I think the Jaguars could be interested, and he might not be. You know, he didn't go back to Boise State when he had the opportunity because I wanted to keep doing it in the NFL. Obviously, you're the OC for the Cowboys. That's understandable to a major extent. But yeah, he's one of those young names. You're right, though. They've kind of had some of that shine wear off here lately. Not necessarily because of him, but just wonder just his age, do they want a young coach? Is that a risk?
he's not leaving the Cowboys for Jacksonville.
But that's what I was ultimately gonna say is like he was calculated in not going to Boise,
right?
And that had like actual ties. So I think he's smart enough that he'll look around and go, I'm gonna be a head coach in the NFL, but I'm not gonna start off with Jacksonville in this trash fire of a mess.
And I'm saying that not to be like, oh, well, he's not gonna leave some smaller.
No, it's just smart.
It's Jerry Jones, and he wants somebody to stay. Will money whip him, and he will get him in a room, and he will just like slobber all over him. He will get a job at some point. Right now, he needs to get the offense fixed.
There's that, but I don't even think it's the Jerry thing. I think it's just that Kellen Moore's a smart guy and probably goes, why would I just throw myself into the Jaguars situation? I'm going to wait for a job that's like a little more organized whenever that comes up.
Yeah. Number 2, Eric Bieniemy. It's time. It is time, NFL. Hire Eric Bieniemy. And again, with a quarterback, young quarterback, he's done great with Patrick Mahomes, young quarterback who's got that kind of skill level. And in Trevor Lawrence, get an offensive-minded guy who's won and is ready to go. And look, Kellen Moore, like the logic on Kellen Moore probably does not apply to Eric Bieniemy because he's been passed over several times now. So Eric Bieniemy, if the Jags call an offer, should take that job and prove to the NFL, all right, double birds to all you people who didn't hire me. I'm ready to go.
Yeah, it would be a cool story for him to end up being the guy that could turn that thing around. He's been due. I mean, just it feels that way. It feels like he's been due for a job. So, at some point, somebody's going to give him the opportunity. He was one of the first names that popped into my mind when the Jaguars job opened up. Because here's the thing: is what are they going to lose? They already lose. They lose all the time. They suck. You at least do this, not for the PR of, we hired Eric Bieniemy, but just let's see. Like, what if he's the next great head coach, but nobody's just giving him an opportunity?
It's almost like he has bad breath or something.
Yeah, what if he's the next big thing? And if he's not, and he's not a great coach, a great head coach, guess what, Jacksonville? You're not a different place at all.
Yeah.
You're in the same effing place you've been for basically your entire organization's history. So
what a game last night for the Chiefs.
I was going to say, Patrick Mahomes down the stretch last night, and that fourth quarter was ridiculously good.
Bad pick,
By the way, I'll tell you, what is not being talked about at all is the correlation between Derwin James leaving the game and Travis Kelce going off.
Yeah.
Derwin James left. Travis Kelce went off in the
Chiefs in overtime, right? Beat the Chargers in a hell of a game.
34-28. He had a couple, not so great moments, and then that fourth quarter, he turned it on, and that was a fun game. That was a fun game to watch. And the Chargers, obviously,
left
had
3 touchdowns.
Had 3 touchdowns right there on the doorstep, and had a bad fumble, and they kind of threw that game away.
Yeah, and number 1 for the Jaguars, bring a beleaguered former son home in Byron Leftwich, the offensive coordinator for Tom Brady and the Buccaneers right now. He is a brilliant young coach, a really good play caller. And, of course, great, I know right now he's working with Tom Brady. But he was thought of well when he was in Arizona. He's thought of well in Tampa. Tom Brady loves him. And Tom Brady doesn't love him because he does what Tom Brady tells him to do. Tom Brady loves him because he respects him. And if you've got that guy's respect, I think you are ready to be a head coach of an NFL team. Byron Leftwich, I would love to see him be, and I think he will be a head coach in this cycle. And the Jaguars would be a great place for him to go Trevor Lawrence.
Tom Brady seems to be enjoying it, right?
Yeah.
Is that right? All right.
Yeah, no, I would say the other name that I keep seeing floated around, and I was curious to see if Leftwich would be on here. I mean, for me, it would be either Leftwich or Bieniemy, the direction I would go. But I know Josh McDaniels' name's been thrown out there a bit as well. So, yeah, I'm very curious to see what they do. Adam Schefter did have one note where he said that the last time, a year ago, I guess, last January when they hired Urban Meyer, the coaches that they chose him over were Eric Bieniemy. So you would imagine they'll probably revisit that. Robert Saleh from San Francisco, also Raheem Morris, and then Tennessee OC Arthur Smith. Those were the 4 guys that they apparently chose Urban Meyer over those 4. So
Smith is in Atlanta now, and Robert Saleh is in with the Jets.
Yeah,
All right.
As a head coach, so obviously he's not going to be a candidate this time around. But Bieniemy was one of those guys, so that would be something to be interesting.
I love the list. Top 5 to wrap up every day, to wrap up every week. 31-7.